God has a heart for lost people in lost and forgotten places. And we've learned that it's a privilege and a joy to get to serve in a place like this. New Bedford is a city with a really beautiful and rich history. It was once the wealthiest city in the world. Sadly, though, over time, the city has diminished, and along with that has diminished the flourishing of the people in every single way.
Because our city is a predominantly poor working class city, it just has lots of generational poverty. So there's lots of mental health issues, lots of homelessness, addiction, violence, neglect, abuse. But we believe that the greatest poverty that our city really has is spiritual poverty. The mission of Grace Harbor Church is to bring gospel hope for New Bedford's flourishing by laboring together for generations to come. We're seeking to establish a church that is word-driven, that is spirit-led, joy-filled, and disciple-making. What we have experienced so far, now that we're 4 years old, is we've seen God save men and women and transform lives, and people who are growing and putting their sin to death. We see the Lord transforming people from the inside out.
My life was just tragic. I had a lot of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. I was just in such a bad mental state, and it was all because of my abuse. But ever since I came to Grace Harbor, I have not been in the hospital. I have not had a psychotic break, and that's when my life began to change. God brought me to the right place. I knew it right away. There was so much love. It was incredible. And they just embraced me, however I was.
Here at Grace Harbor, it's okay to not be okay. My dad was a fisherman. He was lost at sea when I was a teenager. So that was something that I was able to work through here, because I never ever grieved that. I really feel like that's just the New England thing to do. You just have a hard shell. You don't want people to think they're weak, but we've learned that's not very healthy.
Grace Harbor Church has changed my outlook on this area and all of New England, actually, in that we haven't had really any healthy, strong churches here, and I can see God working through this church. I do sound, when I'm just looking at the back of everybody's heads, and I'm like, I know that person's life, I know their problems, and I was overwhelmed with the feeling of family and what God's doing.
Since coming to Grace Harbor, I have that family that I never had before. I'm an only child. My family's rather broken. When I came here, the first thing I felt was just the love of all the people in here. We read scriptures together. We have one-on-ones where we meet regularly. My faith has grown, my authenticity has grown, my maturity has grown, my patience is, like everything about me, like, the fruits of the Spirit, like I've just blossomed as a person. I really, really love my church.
Our vision was to come here and just plant a church and labor here for the rest of our lives. And that's still our passion and our vision. But one of the unexpected things that the Lord has done is He's really given Grace Harbor Church the ability and the opportunity to plant and to actually revitalize other churches in our city and the surrounding areas. And so from that, we've developed a small ministry called Neighborhood Churches for Forgotten Places. And so we're seeing God giving us really unique and beautiful ways that we can do the very same thing that the Lord has done here in other neighborhoods in our city that have for a long time been neglected and have been kind of gospel-starved areas. Providence has been such a great blessing and an encouragement for us. First of all, we know that Providence is praying for us, which, we believe that prayer is the bedrock of the ministry here. Also, Providence has been faithful to send us mission teams to help do the ministry work here. We have been able to do construction projects that were needed for our community, for our neighborhood. On top of that, we financially could not make it without Providence. And so we are so grateful and so humbled by every dollar that Providence has sent us, and have trusted and prayed that God would use it faithfully to build His kingdom here as He's building it there.